of the alcohol, la 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 la. Just line 'em up and we will drink them all, la 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 la. But my mother always said, if you want to drink all day, you best start in the morning, son, 'cause that's the Irish way. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every other mother will agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, and every mother must agree. We don't get drunk, we get awesome, so order up around for you and me, and you and me, and you and me. Let there be whiskey.
Hey everybody, welcome once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Russ.
And I'm Chris.
And this is episode 231. 231 and
just 231.
Amazing evening here in Michigan.
Nothing cool about that one.
No, not really.
Hey,
guys,
CD.
Hey, CD, right out the gate. Guys, we have a special guest tonight. I want you to welcome a long supporter of the. He's over there. Yeah, he's because I'm on the bottom. Long supporter of our show.
You went the wrong way, Russ. You were reversed.
I know.
You got to go the opposite.
Is it that way? Yeah.
Yeah, because I got to point towards the door that leads out of the room. Actually.
This is why we don't have a director. So yes, a long time supporter of the show, author, performer, fantastic dad, and all around great guy.
Early super fan.
Early super fan of our show, Dave Kish. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show, Dave.
Oh, thanks, guys. Great to be here.
I got to tell you, I've talked about this to Chris. My favorite episode of all the episodes we've done was the show we did at Bottoms Up.
Oh, the live episode.
The live episode.
The live episode. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, you and Jamie and Pictus and Maria sitting in with Dan Walters.
That was one of my favorites. Partially just because of you getting your glass of water.
Oh man, that was was not cool, man. It was funny, but it was not cool, man. What was really funny was looking out after I took that drink, and I'm like,
that was it. That's exactly what happened. Yeah,
like that. It was crazy. And then seeing Dave or Chris Urban and Bud in the back of the audience just going laughing, and I'm like, but for those guys who don't remember, the audience, the guys bought me probably $28 worth of vodka and put it in a huge
water cup
tumbler,
a
water tumbler with ice in it, and it was probably about $20 and of probably mid-grade vodka. And then the girl brought it to me thinking I thought it was just water because I wasn't feeling well, and I wasn't drinking. I took a good long swig of it, and it's just it's like getting snake bit, man. It was crazy.
Auntie Dawn says hi to everyone. Said hi to Dave, and then you and I, Russ.
Yeah, Auntie, of course. Thanks, Auntie Dawn. So it was a great time though. Vodka, my favorite alcohol, but not a full glass. CD, trust me, this was
a big ass glass. I mean, it was a good 16 ounces of alcohol in there.
I just passed it off too. They were like, are you gonna? I'm like, I'm not gonna drink this, guys. And but they're just seeing them belly laugh at my reaction. But it was such a great night. I mean, it was funny because I think both you and Jamie had a couple more drinks than you had intended.
He wasn't drinking because he was going to be driving, and I generally don't drink, so that's what made that fun for Brad and Lauren.
Yeah, Brad and Lauren.
Yeah, Pictus, yeah.
Lauren got annihilated. She was just drinking, and oh man, it was so funny.
It was a fun time.
It was a great time. And then of course Maria, the entertainment director, showed up out of the clear blue, and we're like, "Have a seat, Maria."
and she just sat in. Yeah, she was great.
She was great. Talked old school, like just Rennie stories, and it was such a good time. It's such a great time. So yeah, that is hands down my favorite show we've ever done, and we've done some good ones.
Yes, you have.
So we might as well just dive right into it. Chris, how was your week?
That was pretty good. I was actually trying to look back to see if I could find what number that was.
It was I think it was a milestone.
There it is. It was 98.
Okay.
Episode 98.
98. So 130 some odd episodes later, welcome back, Dave.
It's good to
Chris,
be back.
Yeah. So you had a good week then, Chris?
Yeah, it was a pretty good week. My weekend seemed to go on forever. I had our game on Friday.
We did,
which was a lot of fun, and then I went golfing on Saturday with a bunch of guys from the curling club. And
you had your. We didn't have a game Friday. Oh, you had your game on Friday.
No, I didn't. I thought
no,
we didn't have our game on Friday. That's right.
We're having our game.
What did I do Friday? I did something Friday, and then
tell me you golfed with a variety of brooms. That would be amazing.
No, we actually hit golf clubs, but it's the that's the thing. It's
like
that's
chimney
the other
sweeps or
that's
something.
that's the summer Scottish sport. The winter Scottish sport is curling. The summer Scottish sport is golf. They were both invented by the Scots.
Log.
So they
so
nice
Saturday walk wasted.
Well, that's what it was. I went over to my buddy's house on Friday night and just hung out and had some drinks. I found a rum that I can drink straight and really, really enjoy it. I'm probably going to get some more to have on the show here. It's bamboo rum.
I think you mentioned something about bamboo rum.
There's two different variants. I haven't had the one that's there's one that comes in like a stoneware type of bottle, and there's one that comes in a clear bottle, and the one that comes in a clear bottle is the one that I've been drinking. It is absolutely fantastic. It's rum that then finishes. It's easy to drink. It doesn't have the burn, and it finishes with like a butter shots flavor.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like a Disney character.
Bamboo.
And I've heard that the other one isn't as good, but I haven't tried it yet. So went over to my buddy's house, did that, and just hung out for a while. Then the next day I went golfing with the guys from curling club, and then we went out to eat, and then I came home and crashed. I think I slept for about off and on because I'd get up and be up for a little while and then go back to sleep, but I think it was about 14 hours.
Yes.
And
you slept for 14 hours?
Pretty close, yeah. I mean, it wasn't full. It was probably inside of that 14 is probably 10 or 11.
I would imagine, Dave, you probably haven't slept 14 hours since before your children were born.
Almost altogether.
Man, I can't remember the last time I slept that long. I don't have those kind of restrictions.
That's common, I would think.
Yeah, that's it. See, 14 hours is a coma, Chris. That's
it's a medical condition.
For me,
you need to be.
That's the thing. For me, normally I'm 7 hours at the most.
Yeah.
And I'm usually up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And that was the thing. I was still up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, but I had gone to bed I really had fallen asleep at 6 o'clock on the couch downstairs. And I knew I was going to, so I just sat there and the dogs curled up with me, and I just put on one of I put on Winter Soldier, Captain America Winter Soldier, because it's something I've seen a lot, and I'm like, I can fall asleep. If I fall asleep, not a big deal. And I think I watched the first half hour of the movie, and then I woke up in the credits.
Jesus. All right.
Actual credits or post credits?
Yeah. The actual credits, as the credits started.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a long weekend, and then Sunday did something in the afternoon. And
that's not even Sunday yet. Oh my god.
That was Saturday into Sunday, and then Sunday Renee went over to her friends, and I hung out here, and then did something in the afternoon. It was a good weekend.
Good. How about yourself, Dave? I mean, you just you're telling us before the show started that you had a nice day today. Some good stuff happened with your house.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, during the flood of Midland last year, we got our house just decimated, and just today, because one of the things they have to do is elevate our house over the floodplain, and it's got to go up 21 inches. So they have lifted I sent a video over to Russ to watch. I'll get it over to you soon, Chris. And where they have jacked my entire house, which is a tri-level house, up 21 inches above the ground. It's fascinating and nauseating. And it's like, that's my house. It's like, they're just going to rebuild the foundation around the bottom, fill in the basement, lower it back down, and then start the inside rebuild. It's the process has been grueling, but it's
Yeah.
I mean, we're like the pandemic, we're almost near the end of it. So
Right. Yeah. So yeah, like to remind you guys watching now and later, yeah, there was a huge, massive flood. Two dams broke
Mhm.
near Midland, Michigan, and just destroyed whole areas. Now, and unfortunately, Dave here
It
was
was
who'd only been living in the house a little while too. You had just moved, or like
my
a
the wife and kids had been living there since February the year before when we
right,
bought the house. I had to finish up work,
right.
and so I moved in June, and then we went through one Christmas, the pandemic hit, and then so I've lived in this rental house longer than I lived in the other house.
Right. You're living on a rental house on a drained lake
Yeah, what
that is
used
now
to be
Lake
what used
Sanford,
to-
which is no longer a lake. Yeah,
because of the dams bursting, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That just is
It's
crazy to me.
and to be sitting here every day looking out, thinking, "Oh, that's what broke my house." Okay.
Well, and my daughter was telling me she grew up in Gladwin, and she grew up on the Tittabawassee River, and she said that yeah, that whole thing there where her grandmother's house was on the river, she's like it's not a river anymore. It's just dry. It's like there is no
So,
river there anymore.
well, there's also a bunch of houses and things, and I mean, especially people who had boathouses and docks and stuff, completely gone. Don't even know. Some people couldn't even find where their stuff ended up. So it was
That's
crazy.
just
I
amazing
know
to me.
I know that was so bad that the FedEx told me that one of my deliveries about a week after that happened was going to be delayed due to that when it was coming from Oak Park to me. So I guess they had to go from Oak Park all the way up to Midland and then all the way back down for some reason. The
Jesus.
floods in mid-Michigan were going to delay my package coming from Oak Park.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that boggles my
You
mind.
could have driven over and got.
Yeah, I'm like I can be there in 15 minutes and
Just
to
hold
pick
it.
it up. Yeah.
I hate that so much. I mean, that happens pretty regularly too. Yeah, a package that you could drive to pick it up, and it's still got to go through like four other things.
Well, that
before
was
it
the
gets
thing.
to-
I'm like, it didn't. It just had to be put on a truck, but they were using that as an excuse. They're like, there's floods in mid Michigan. That's going to delay your package. I'm like, my package is nowhere near mid Michigan.
Well, one of the problems that they were running into, which is a legit problem, is that they had to delay everything coming to this area. And so that means that nothing moved out of their warehouses. So they had no place to put stuff, so that they had to
Mhm.
redirect to other places. So, I mean, there's a legit reason for it,
Mhm.
as insane and annoying as it sounds, but there was a real reason that it happened. So,
Right. So, but
It just sounds funny when they tell
Oh.
you that it's due to the flooding in mid Michigan, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you are 15 minutes away from me. That is an hour and a half away. There is a big difference in where that is.
yeah, we had, yeah, we have so many stories of goofy stuff that happened for us, but we're almost at the end of it. So, which
Yeah.
is really
So
kind of
do you-
exciting for us.
like
Do
we
you
were
actually
saying
have
before.
a timeline?
Well, the house is going to be up on the blocks and stuff, and then they're going to build a foundation. It's going to be up for about 2 weeks, and then once that's down, they can really start the inside rebuild, which they have to build new floors, they have to do walls, they have to do electrical, they have to do plumbing, they have to do all the major stuff. And so we're probably looking at then after that probably about 6-8 weeks. So we're probably at least 2.5 months out, but then we get to move in. And we told them we don't mind living there while there's still construction going on, as long as you can get us in there. So,
Yeah.
and that's
I
what they're
mean,
working on.
Yeah. Just
Cool.
like I said earlier, man, just watching that, it's just my heart just went out to you. I was just,
Well, I appreciate
it was
that.
crazy. And
It-
I mean, and like we were saying before we started the show, I mean, that was one of the things that was hard about the quarantine and then the pandemic and everything, was watching people go through horrible things or terrible things with all by themselves without the support structure and system that we've had.
it was insane. And so many people wanted to help do something with the house. And it's like, don't come up here. I mean,
Mhm.
because, and I mean, I had people walking through my house helping us clean up. They weren't wearing masks and stuff. And I'm
Right.
like, and they were volunteering. What am I going to say? No, I don't want you to help me. And
Mhm.
it's like, they were so helpful. And we had groups of volunteers helping us. And what was really interesting about that is that I lost like 600 books
Yeah.
that to sell. I
Yeah,
lost
your
my
books.
entire inventory, and it's like, okay, all right. So, and my wife and I were standing there looking at all of our stuff lined along the side of the road as they were bringing in dump trucks and front end loaders to pick up our stuff and throw it away. And it
Right.
wasn't just us, it was everybody down our block. And we realized we're never going to get attached to stuff again. I mean, you
Mhm.
can't because my kids, all their toys and stuff were downstairs in the
Right.
basement. And,
Now, were you guys able to recover anything? Plastic toys and stuff. I mean, it's not like it was sewage water, right? It was just
it
kind
was
of,
sewage water.
it was sewage water?
The sewage backed up.
Oh, okay.
Everything was contaminated. And we could have, but what were we going to do with it?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's kind of like what happened.
We didn't have a house to put it back into. So.
Right, of course. And that's kind of what happened like in 13 when I think it was 13 when the sewers backed up here in Royal Oak and Ferndale and Oak Park and Hazel Park and everything, and we just the massive flooding here in this area. So it was insane. And apparently because people had broken into the pumping stations and stolen copper, and the pumps failed, and that's what caused all of the flooding. And I was lucky enough. I had Liam Selvey and Natalie Grist happened to be staying at my house, and along with another Rennie Scott Mullen from Florida. And in fact, Liam and Natalie had just gotten here because we're gearing up for festival, and literally an hour before the flooding had started, because it was just like horrendous torrential downpours, and they were able to help me save my basement because they helped me bail out the sink that was overflowing, and then helped me stop it up so we could stop the water from coming in for the utility sink, and save my comic book collection, which was thrown upon the floor because I was organizing it.
Yeah, and it would have been, and it's not salvageable.
Oh no, that would have destroyed.
I lost
thousands of dollars.
Entire movie collection. I lost my entire book collection. I lost my entire, I had
breaking my heart, brother.
Oh, the thing is, it was crazy. But I also realized I wasn't appreciating it as much as I should have been anyway, because I had it down in the basement or in the garage.
Sure.
We hadn't even lived long enough to unpack everything yet.
Right,
so right. Stuff that we'd never unpacked. It was a lesson in letting go, and it's like either you learn it or you just become bitter. And it's like, and I don't really feel like being bitter. So,
right. Well,
this week has been good. So today was good. The house is going on. We had a couple months ago, my wife said that she wanted to get a Peloton bike.
Oh, awesome.
Oh yeah, we've got.
I said, I don't want a Peloton bike. So we compromised and got a Peloton bike.
I was saying get a Peloton.
Yeah. And I told her, I said, all right, when we get it, I'm going to use it. And she's like, I hope you do. I said, oh, I'm going to. Because over since my wife had cancer all the way to now, I just had I'm a depression eater, and I'm a celebration eater, and I'm a bored eater.
Okay.
So
you're an eater.
It pushed it. In last year, since I didn't see anybody, since I didn't get to do anything, my weight had gotten way out of control, and I was in a lot of, and it's not even the number. The number was 304, and it's not even the number as much as how uncomfortable I was.
Sure.
My knees were hurting, my ankles were hurting. I was exhausted all the time. And
you're about 6 foot, 6'1"?
Yeah. And the thing is, and my kids are only 11 or 12 now and 8, and it's like they don't need a grandfather. They have 2 grandfathers. So I decided, okay, this ends. It's got to stop. And I'm not even caring as much about the number as about how I feel.
Sure. Yeah.
So I started riding. And so I was telling you earlier, I've dropped 45 pounds.
Yeah, that's some
fun
really
part
impressive.
is, and people are like, well, how did you do that? I said, all right, well, I'm going to tell you a secret. And a lot of people don't want to know this. I exercise every day and radically changed my diet.
Don't let anybody in on this.
Exactly. It's like there's no question what I needed to do. And it's like, and I'm one of those lucky people that if I do the things you're supposed to do, it works. Some people it doesn't work for. Some people, they can try to lose weight and all of a sudden their body says, oh no, we're going to die. Keep it. And it's like, mine doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
And at least initially.
That's what mine did when, so just before I moved back to Michigan, I I was up to 283. One of the things I've done is I'm getting really close to 300, the 300 mark right now.
Yeah,
But and I really don't want to hit that, so I'm really starting to try and get back to eating better. I'm doing like a butcher box thing where I'm getting grass fed,
Oh,
and I'm
good,
doing
good, good.
Renee's getting vegetables more often, things like that. So we're eating at home, especially now when the weather's nice. I can grill, so that makes it easier than
I love grilling.
yeah.
It's the
And
best.
I would love to be outside grilling right now, but we have to do the podcast because it's absolutely one of the most perfect day for grilling right now.
Yeah.
But if I do that sort of thing, I just meet. I just saw the CD's post, but yeah, Renee just said we should become Peloton friends because she's got the Peloton too.
There you go.
So
You do? Okay. I'm Dave the Knave on Peloton.
Of course.
Find me.
Yeah, but yeah. So
I didn't know you could do that. That's neat.
Yeah, doing all that stuff, and I didn't even exercise when I did it before. Now I'm a little older, so I think I have to have the exercise in there. But I found a program that I like, and I can eat a lot of food and still lose weight. And it's just eating the right things, eating at the right times. And for me, that's one of the big things that I've noticed. If I eat, they tell me this program says that you should eat at 7 o'clock at night or earlier, and then not eat anything else. If I do that, weight falls off. The other thing that a lot of people that I had no idea about was that how much sleep you get actually affects how much weight you can. If you don't get at least 7 hours, if you don't get at least 7 hours of sleep per night, then it is much more difficult for you to lose weight.
Man, I'm screwed.
Close. Yeah, I'm not even close to 7.
No.
But if you can get 7 hours of sleep, they say it actually helps you with your weight.
God,
what I've been doing is during the early morning or during the day, I try to do at least a 20 or 30-minute ride. And I've also added warm-up rides, cool-down rides, and stretching in too, because they say you find out what you're made of when you're pushed. And I found out that I'm made of stone. So I need to do something about that, because otherwise I'm going to calcify and be one of the blinking angels, and I don't want to do that. So
yeah.
But then every night at 11 o'clock, I'll do a 15-minute ride before bed. And I work hard and I leave it all on the bike. So, and people are like, well, how do you fall asleep? Aren't you like awake? It's like, not the way I ride at night. So I'm burning calories as I go to sleep. And that's and it's been working for me. And it's like, and if I find some evidence that says no, because I believe in science, I'll stop. I'll do something different. But right now it's working for me. So, and I've plateaued for a week or two twice. And I found the best way to handle a plateau is to keep going. Mm-hmm. Because eventually your body says, oh yeah, okay, I know what you're doing. All right. And so, but I've been enjoying that a lot. And I joined this group on Facebook. It's called Fitter Over 50 and Beyond or something like that. And it's this group of 50 and over Peloton people. And it's a riot. And I'm pretty goofy anyway. So I always put up really funny posts. And all of a sudden this community has exploded in funny. So it's like, we're just waiting for someone to give them permission, and it's been wonderful. It's been really wonderful. So,
well, that's great, man.
Yeah, my kids are not done with school this week, and that's been a lot of fun. My son just celebrated his 12th birthday, and we went to Soaring Eagle to their water park.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, except that water parks are my kryptonite, because that means I probably should take off my shirt, and I am just not cool with that. Like a physician, it's like do no harm, and this is not a terrible experience at this point.
It's like double sun coming out.
And but the thing is, but what I did is I said, look, I'm here for my kids, so I'm just going to do this. I'm on the path. I'm doing the things I need to do. Next time I come back, I won't be the same. Let's just do this and have a good time. And so we did, and I tried not to think about it, because otherwise I would weep uncontrollably at night. So
yeah, I can certainly understand. I mean, I've gained a little bit of weight. You can kind of even see it in my face a little bit. And I'm as being a lean guy, I've got that skinny guy gut. and it's just or the Van Ness gut, as we like to call it.
Oh,
It's
is that's a thing?
My father gains weight, and then my grandfather gained weight in the same way. So it's
How many months are you now?
Yeah, so I'm expecting real soon. It's going to be a 5 pound, it's a 10 pounder, and but it's weird because I mean like I said, I've always been kind of a lean guy, and I've post 30 started to kind of like slow down, and I got married and got sedentary and things like that, and then got divorced, and
that's good for your weight.
and ate my feelings, and at that
Yeah.
point, so
And you're Italian, so it's pasta.
Oh,
a lot of pasta, a
And,
lot of rice,
I say and Irish, so you got the potatoes too. It's
potatoes too. I got the double whammy there, and I think my doctor at one, when I first saw my doctor a couple of years ago, and I think I've talked about this on the show before about how she was like, "Well, Mr. Wanas, I'm worried about your carb intake, and you should probably maybe cut down on the carbs." And I'm like, I'm Italian and Irish. That's impossible. That's my,
I'm Hungarian and Swedish. Try to cut down on carbs doing that too. So
it's just no, it's not going to work. So I did have to cut.
You're Western European. It's all carbs.
It's just all there is to it. Yeah. So anyway, I do have to feel, probably try and get into better shape. I'm 47, so I'm getting up there a little bit more, and
you will never regret taking care of yourself. I mean, and it's, it's easier. I'm not going to say it's easier. I'm going to say my motivation is different. Okay. You're doing it because you've got, things you want to do. You've got,
I have a girlfriend that's 13 years younger.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my wife is a licensed driver behind me. So, I mean, I understand that. But you'll never regret saying, it's hard to get started, but once you realize, like, look, no one else is going to take care of you. And the older you get, you're just going to break down more and more. So why don't you make sure everything is as good as possible? Because that stuff's going to happen. It just is.
You got to keep swinging that sword, man. It's
without a doubt.
Well, and
I never want to stop.
For me now, I've got a granddaughter.
Yeah.
See, so, you want to be the active grandpa. You want to be, when you're with her in public, you want people to say, "Is that your kid?" "No, that's my granddaughter." Like, oh, that's what you want. And I don't want people looking at my kids saying, "Is that your grandpa?"
Yeah, you don't want to be grandpa dad. You do not want to be grandpa dad. That's
no. And I was heading there, and it was depression, and it was, it's like having my 30-some-year-old wife have cancer was just. It's like, this was not supposed to happen.
No.
When she found out, it was a coin flip. You got 50-50 chance. And so they hit it hard with chemo and a stem cell transplant. And she's on the other side of it now, but the effects from her treatment are going to last the rest of her life.
Oh yeah. That's the drag about cancer treatment is like you will feel it. You may survive the cancer, but the treatment is going to affect you for the rest of your life too.
And
yes,
so
Renee, I have you too.
Yeah. So she doesn't need me to be someone she needs to take care of, because some days for her are just, without her doing anything, are just misery. So it's like, well, I need to be there, and I need to be there for my kids, and I want to be there for the show, and I want to be there for everything else I want to do. And you will never regret. And the thing is, one of the things that I've really been doing is I get up early. I go to bed at like about midnight, maybe a little bit later. Then I get up at 5 and I throw on YouTube motivational videos, and it is the greatest thing in the world. And you can find a lot of them for like Marvel, Avengers stuff.
Oh, sure.
Like, once you start getting your blood pumping to a bunch of Captain America stuff, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to step.
That's America's ass right there.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield. Yeah. I can see that's going to be a motivating factor.
And as nerds, it kind of, we don't want to be stereotypes.
No. We're already stereotyped enough.
Yes.
I don't need to be the chubby nerd. I'll be the skinny nerd.
I'll just be the bald nerd. I don't want to be anything.
There you go. For me, I think
I'm gonna be the cool nerd.
Yeah, you'd be the cool
nerd. Well, you're pretty much the cool nerd here anyway. So I mean, go for it.
I think for me, I got to figure out what I like to do physically, like what kind of physical activity I can do, because I just am not enjoying working out. Like I'm going to the gym, and
that's my problem.
I think if I could afford it, I think a Peloton bike would be great, but I don't think it's in my budget. Because it would be something that, you know, you've got the video and you've got the person yelling at you and motivating you and stuff.
The selection of music is
and if you don't want to do one of their like big spin class rides, you can just do a
scenic
casual.
route.
You can do a scenic route. I've actually put a scenic route out and then put my phone up there and watched an episode of Buffy, because that was my timer. Was I would watch.
Oh, you got 47 minutes or whatever it is.
42 minutes.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
like,
great.
That's my timer. I sit and watch, because I used to do it with the elliptical when I was losing all my weight. Because like I was saying, back about 10 years ago, I lost 63 pounds.
Awesome. You can do it again then. Whatever you want.
In 6 months. And it wasn't unhealthy. It was, I just changed how I ate and started exercising a little. I would do elliptical a few days a week. And what I would do is, it was in the living room. I'd put a Buffy or an Angel show on, and I would just sit there and watch the show and do the elliptical. When the show was done, that's when my workout was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was impressive too. I remember that. So on my week, my week was nice. I had
we're over a half an hour in. We haven't even gotten to your week yet.
It was nice. It was just real quick. Just stuff at work. Last week was really hot. It was ridiculously hot at work. It was really hot in Michigan here. So, and hot and humid. And my studio, as I've talked about before, the parade company is ridiculously hot and humid in there when it gets like that. But I had a nice weekend, and Stella was on. She was doing a writer's. It's not a retreat. It's this thing through her college and her master's program and stuff. And normally, if it wasn't in the middle of COVID, she'd be in Mexico for 2 weeks doing this writer's thing. So, but instead she was online. It was all online. So I kind of tried to stay out of her hair. It was a very intensive program, and so I went to Royal Oak and bummed her on Royal Oak. I actually met the new owner of the Noir Leather Shop in Royal Oak, which is for those of you who may not know, it is a kind of relatively famous leather / fetish / sex shop. That was kind of one of those things that made Royal Oak kind of kitschy and famous.
It was the place to get your spandex back in the 80s.
Yeah, and your leather jackets and leather boots, and then you could go into the back section
and piercings of anything.
And piercing anything. And you could go into the back section, and that was where the naughty stuff was. And but anyway, the guy who ran it for like 40 years kind of just sold the business lock, stock, and barrel, like everything. Just take it all. Here's the keys, and gave it to this new guy who's, looking to kind of return it to the kind of the glory days that it was, because it was one of those alternative community or alt culture things that, like I said, made kind of Royal Oak kind of an interesting place back in the day. And so it was really cool talking to him. And I've done some body paint stuff for them from time to time and stuff for events they've hosted. So it was cool to talk to him. And he's cool too, because they're really leaning into, he's a ex-military, he's a minority, the manager is a woman. So they're really kind of leaning into hey, we're a established business, and we've been doing this for a real long time. Come and get your, naughty toys.
Get your kink on.
Get your kink on.
Hey, not bad.
And there you go. That's a great. I should tell Arbor that. That's a good one. Yeah, it's good new slogan for them. Get your kink
off.
Or off. Get your kink off. And so it was cool talking to him. And then, like I said, there was the clay, glass, and metal show was going on in one of the parking lots. It got kind of a little fair. Excuse me. And so I got to look at some cool stuff and cool art and shit. And I ran into a friend of mine who was vending there. So it was kind of fun too. Nice running in. It's just nice to see things opening up again, people going out and going to things. And yeah, some people wearing masks, but some people weren't. And nobody was freaking out. And it was everybody's being really respectful. And there was still social distancing, even though people are still kind of still, at least people are comfortable walking around without masks again and stuff. And So
I just remembered what I did Sunday. It was I went out to dinner with you and a bunch
Yeah,
of other
that's
friends to remember Michael.
that's right. And Sunday we got together, and it's the first time you and I have been in the same vicinity of each other in over a year.
Yep.
And we memorialized our friend Mike Wiggins that passed away 5 years ago now.
5 years, yeah.
5 years. Mike, Dave,
It
you
would've
remember
been
Mike?
I remember. I
birthday.
know who he was. I was not close to him. So.
He was a Ren Fair regular, and then part of the cast for a while. He was the dance master, and he was a great guy. He was a really, really supportive friend and a good person. He was really, really big on the steampunk scene and kind of the king of the local steampunk scene. And so yeah, it was an unexpected, like just middle of the night death, and it impacted us a lot. So
He was right after he married Renee and I.
Yeah, exactly. He performed your ceremony, and so yeah, it was Chris and I and his wife and some other close friends that so we got together at the
It was a Brown Iron.
Brewery at 13 and Woodward, and it was pretty good.
It was It was actually a fantastic night.
Nice evening.
It was hot as hell out there, but it was
really
we
hot.
were sitting on the patio in the sun, but it was a lot of fun. It was great to see everybody again because I haven't seen any of those people in.
Exactly. So yeah, so that was my week. Chris, what are you drinking?
I am drinking something I picked up in Louisville while I was out of town seeing my granddaughter down in Tennessee. We stopped in Louisville and I picked up some beers. This one's from Falls City Beer. This is the first thing I've ever had by them, and I picked it up solely because of the name. It's an IPA. It is made with grain is pale and Pilsner. The hops are Citra, Simcoe, and Amarillo. It's 55 IBUs. But the name is Hipster Repellent. Because there's nothing hipsters hate more than an IPA. And
that's funny.
Renee just came in. She went. It has a kind of a coppery color to it. It definitely has the hop aroma. It's kind of a cross between the dank hops and the citrus hops. So it's kind of a weird mix. But the taste, it is kind of bitter. It's not overpoweringly bitter though. It's actually kind of well balanced. It's easy drinking. It's really kind of smooth with a stronger bitter aftertaste. I like it. I think it's pretty good. It's not the best IPA I've ever had. I would say it's probably a 3.75 is what I would give it. But it is enjoyable, and it like I said, it's easy to drink. So yeah.
All right.
I don't know how far they distribute. It is a local thing to Louisville, and that's where I found it. But yeah, if you can find it, Hipster Repellent IPA, it's really not bad, and I actually didn't get in there. I love the little hipster skull.
Back it up just a little. Yeah, it's still a little blurry, but
yeah. But yeah,
so, I'm drinking. I didn't think I was going to like this, honestly. But this is another one.
You get to go next. Go ahead.
This is the fourth. This is the fourth one from the 4-pack from St. Ambrose Cellars Meadery, and this is a mango habanero sizer. And I'm not a big into hot spicy. I mean, I like a little bit, but I mean, I've never been a big habanero guy. And habanero. This is called Grateful Head, and it's got the I don't know how to take that exactly. I mean, it could be many ways, but it's got obviously like a kind of a well, damn it. It's got a kind of a sugar skull kind of design. It's supposed to be,
okay.
And but it's like I said, mango habanero, and this is actually really good. This is it's very sweet. It says time to get freaky. We take honey, apple, and delicious mango. Then we add just the right amount of habanero. I'm such a white guy, I swear.
Habanero. You got that with the
Habanero.
jalapenos, right?
Shut up. Habanero peppers for a delightful spicy sizer that leaves you feeling frisky. Our latest and greatest draft meat. It's nice. It's on the sweet side. It does have just a scotch of heat to it that comes on the back end, and but it's not
Hit you right there in the right there at the back of the tongue.
just a little bit, but it's really quite good.
That's the same. That's the same place that that like the what's the one from Blake's it's their they have one that has the
they got a hot one too,
yeah, and that one just hits me right in the back of the in the back of the tongue and the throat.
I gotta tell you, all four of these ciders and meats, actually all the four of these meats and whatnot that they put out, just really fantastic. All four of them. I was not expecting. I saved this one for last because I was like, habanero. I don't know if I'm gonna be into it, habanero, but it's great. It's really good. So another lovely mead from St. Ambrose Cellars here in Michigan, in beautiful. It's beautiful Beulah, Michigan. Beulah.
Hey,
who wants to live in Beulah?
I don't know.
My dad does actually. That's where my mom actually grew up, was up in that area.
I'm so
just
sorry.
about 15 miles south of there, in a little town called Kokomish.
Okay. So anyway,
it's right
Dave,
by Traverse City, dude.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right.
Dave, are you drinking anything? I saw you drinking a little.
I was gonna partake tonight. I don't ever, because I have kids. So, but man, I've been working so hard on my weight. So I'm drinking a diet. I don't know if you can see this, Mountain Dew.
Ah, yes. A traditional nerd drink.
I'm not drinking any calories right now if I can help it. I was going to make a spiced Captain Spice rum and diet Mountain Dew drink, but I thought, well, what would be the point? What I'm doing is like
just adding calories to the
to a taste that I like both of them. It's like, no, so stay the course. 1,000 points of light. All that.
Now, 1,000 points. Now, my question. Let me ask you this.
Yeah,
I have never been able to drink diet pop. It's always just like, it always just tastes awful to me. And now, were you drinking regular Mountain Dew before you went on the big diet, and then just shifted? And were you able to shift?
When I was 10, that's when I drank regular Mountain Dew. When I became a grown-up, I switched to diet pop.
Yeah, I've done Diet Coke for Diet Coke, Diet A&W, Diet Burners. I can't do regular. It's too fucking sweet.
It gets a little sweet for me. It does. But then again, if I'm drinking ciders and stuff like that, I don't like bitter or sour. I like sweet.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have the palate of it.
It's the cloying
sweet and salty.
Sweetness.
That's my sweet spot. So.
It's the cloying sweetness that I don't like. It's if I drink regular pop, like if I take a drink of a regular Coke, it's like my tongue is just coated in sugar.
I don't enjoy it. And so what's the point of drinking something I'm not going to enjoy?
Yep.
It's like I don't do hot and spicy stuff. I mean, I can, but I'd rather enjoy it than endure it, So
I love hot and spicy.
I wish I did. I want to, but I'm palate of a child. I told you.
I'm a Pepsi guy.
Schnapps.
Surge and Schnapps. Yeah, I saw that too. That is messed up. Surge and Schnapps. Yikes.
That just sounds. Get that hipster repellent out. Throw it hard.
No kidding.
Shake up the can and throw it really hard.
CD. After college, I did Code Red and vodka sometimes. Well, that was
pretty
common. Yeah. That's
apparently Renee did that one too. I just I'm a Pepsi guy all my life. My dad was we were never big. My dad was not a drinker. And
we can get along. We can get along.
I would say Code Red and vodka actually sounds really fucking good.
I'm a Coke guy.
And I like a Coke once in a while. You see, I'm one of those
Dr. Pepper guy, really. I'm a Dr. Pepper guy.
Danger Zone.
Yeah, you want to talk?
You said Danger Zone is that drink.
Oh, Danger Zone. Okay.
What is the Danger Zone?
Code Red and vodka is called the Danger Zone. Yikes.
All
right. So we should probably.
You got to say it like Archer. Danger Zone.
No, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, we should move on to actually something more
Topical.
well, more topical. Well, you know, I want to talk. So I wanted people to. I want to talk a little bit about Dave and about who you are and what you do, and some of our newer listeners might not know who you are. Dave is. We met at the Renaissance Festival. He's been a performer for how long now?
I think we're 11, 12 years at this fair, and we've been doing it 21 years total.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you started. I remember when you guys started, and you're just this kind of new semi-local stage act because you guys were coming up from Toledo, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah, from that Toledo area, and they started at working at the fair, and it's a comedy sword fighting act with you, your best friend Jamie, and another one of your best friends, Paul.
Yep.
Yeah, and tell us how that got started.
Well, so the way it got started is I had first gone to a Renaissance Festival when I was 18 or 19, the Michigan one, and I just fell in love with it right away because it was, it was played to all the things that I loved.
Like you do.
Yeah. And then a few years later, well, no, probably about a year and a half later, I met Jamie. We started working together. We were both going to Monroe Community College. And we started working together at the American Tourister luggage store. So that's where it all started. And we had, of course, the same interests. It was all fantasy, D&D, sword fighting, and stuff like that. So we actually bought swords to fight with. We bought like these wooden swords and instantly broke them, bought some more, instantly broke them, bought some metal swords, instantly broke them from the Gibraltar Trade Center, if you remember.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that's where we started doing our thing. And then Jamie's stepfather actually fixed the sword so we could actually fight with them. And we thought, this is what we want to do. So we went to the fair and we saw Don Juan and Miguel do their show. We're we like them. We like them a lot, but we don't want rapier fighting. We want to do broadsword fighting. So we promptly started talking about it, and then promptly did nothing for 20 years. And then we're like, and so we're in our 30s and we're like, if we don't do this now, we're not going to do it. So we wrote a show, and we got Paul on board, and we started doing the smaller fairs around the area. We were doing Silverleaf when it existed, and we did one in Fremont, Ohio, and we did Mayfair in the Kalamazoo area. I mean, so we did as many little fairs as we could. Eventually Maria came out and saw us and said, okay, we'll give you guys a tryout. So there was another show at the same year that split the fair with us, and they didn't come back, and we did, and we've been there ever since.
Yeah. And it was great. And when you came on board, it was only a couple years after Don Juan and Miguel had left, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Because Don Juan and Miguel left, and then we had the duelists came in, Randy and his partners. And I know that the festivals did you guys cross border, cross paths at all, or did they leave in your cross blades?
we actually did. They were also doing some of the smaller Michigan fairs at the same time. Yeah. And some of our jokes happen to end up in their show, and I but that's not the point.
Sure. You're still not supposed to steal jokes from somebody that you're in the same show with. That's just poor form.
Not to really interrupt, but we're getting stuff in the chat now that Renee is saying Sir James is the greatest swordsman that ever lived.
Right.
He stands 7.5 feet high, or so I'm told.
Yes, you are told that. You're told. So when we originally wrote the show, there were no short jokes in it. I didn't write any short jokes because I wrote the first draft. So there were no short jokes. There was no making fun of politics. It was just a show. And they were like, no, this is funny. Jamie was the one who added all the short jokes. Right. And then of course, Paul never stopped.
Of course.
Nor does he stop when we're off stage. When we are traveling, it continues.
I honestly feel
gas stations, restaurants. It does not matter. Everywhere we go, it continues.
I kind of feel bad. For those of you guys who don't know, Jamie is quite short. He's what, 5'4", 5'3"?
5'5". No, he's
somewhere.
Like 5'4", 5'5".
Okay.
Yeah.
He's for a grown man, he's quite short. And
compared to Paul, who's 6'3", and me is 6 foot. I mean, exactly.
And but honest to God's, Jamie has got he's got the patience of a saint, because he does, and there's short jokes all the time, because it's not just
He's a really
guys.
funny guy too. Just
I mean, he's kind of the straight man of the act.
Yes.
And
yeah, very much so. And he knows it. He knows how to cue up the jokes, and he knows how to, he handles it extremely well.
Extremely well.
Well, I just remember our live show with him there, and him coming up and tipping us, and then coming back and taking it away.
Taking money out. Yeah. In my hat, just put my hat
the thing is, so Paul is probably one of the biggest characters. He's the goofiest, the silliest. He's willing to do the most embarrassing, silly things to get the biggest laughs. I kind of play the action hero with low self-esteem, who wants everyone to love him. And Sir James is completely delusional, thinking he's a gigantic person who is super tough. Right. And he's tough, but he's, he just thinks he's bigger.
10 feet tall and bulletproof.
I have a dog. We have two dogs. One's a Bernie Doodle. She's huge. And one's a Shih Tzu. He's tiny. He thinks he's bigger than she is. It's hilarious. And I see the show play out every day in front of me. It's the best.
And it really is. I have often said that the Rogue Blades is one of the best shows to take that the whole family can go to and enjoy, because I mean, honestly,
as long as you don't mind the crowd yelling all the lines back.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That's an excellent thing. So the thing is, we had a choice pretty early on, because we have a fan base, but we like our fans. We are friendly with our fans, and we will sit and talk with them, and we have a great time. So when they do that, it doesn't bother us. But what we love is when they think they're getting us. It's like, we really got you. It's like, you really didn't. We are professionals. We know. We let you think that. So we had to decide, do we want to change the show every couple years and make it completely different so no one knows what's coming? Or do we kind of lean into the Rocky Horror and let the people have a lot of say in it?
Right.
And we found there are two reasons. One is we love the crowd interaction, and we love that they know the lines and they quote them all year round, and they show up on our Facebook walls all the time. Yeah. And two, we don't have to do anything if we don't change. So I can live in Midland and we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the thing, it's because Jamie's still down in the Toledo area, and so is Paul, right? Yeah. And but that's the thing. I mean, it's proven. It's a proven formula. Look at just about every Ren Fair act on the circuit. Nobody changes their act dramatically.
If you're few jokes, you're not rememberable.
Well, and that's the thing. Dynamite Miguel, from what I remember, had like 3 different shows that they did, and
they would do 4. Yeah, they would do like 4 shows a day. Each show was different, but it was still the same shows every year. And Rick Rock does 3 or 4 different shows.
He has 4 shows,
the same. But they're the same shows every year. So that's at least consistent. Dead Bob did the same goddamn show for 25 years. And every time he tried to change it, people got pissed at it.
He would only change political jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Renee said, please never change the show.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah.
We're not that motivated.
But it is great. And I love the interaction, because what does change is the interaction with the crowd.
They dictate where the show's going to go.
Right. You play with the crowd differently, and and stuff like that. And then of course there are the occasional moments. And one of the best parts, I think, of the Green Grove crew, the performers at the Green Grove, is the way you all screw with each other.
Yeah.
And when Pictus comes out and messes with you, or Rick Rock comes and kind of breaks into the show and messes around with you guys, and it's so funny.
They used to give us the last show of the day. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we would have shows, because of the crowd and because of other acts coming over to mess with us, that would last an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah. And they're like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. So they give it to a band.
No.
Because there's an end point, and then they can shove everybody out the door. We just enjoyed playing with the crowd so much. One time we were doing a Star Wars.
I was just going to say the Star Wars thing.
Well, so what was happening is,
so damn hilarious.
Rick Rock came out with his his hair in ponytails on the sides of his head.
Hmm.
And he comes out there, he's Jar Jar Binks, and he says something silly, and then he walks back. I found out after the show, he'd never seen the movie. Somebody told him about the character, and he just went out and did it. Fearless.
Mm-hmm.
The man is fearless, and he makes us more fearless
Yeah.
to try stuff. And and so what we have is Pictus has a song that we absolutely love, that every time they play it, Jamie and I are like, should we go out and sword fight behind him? And so we do. We'll go out and sword fight behind them while they're playing, and they love it. And then at least once a run, we will always put on fake beards, and we will come out there with like plastic drums, and we'll play with Pictus their so we always have it. And now that we haven't been able to play together for a year, I think it's going to get really
silly
ridiculous this year.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure it's gonna get ridiculous. I mean, it even inspired me one time to kind of surprise you guys, and I came out through the back and kind of just said a couple of things and pretended I was like your long lost brother, and it was so funny because you froze. Awesome. You're like, "What's going on?" and I'm like, "Stop picking on this little nighty." And
when somebody comes out, they clearly have something in mind. So let them do it. Don't try to take over. Let them have their moment. If they stumble, or if they're stumbling with it, then you jump in. But when somebody comes out to play, they become the main character of the story, and you let them have their moment.
Rick was the one that kind of gave me the okay, because you should totally do that.
Without a doubt. So Rick was one time Rick was doing his show where he wears the mask. He's the Commedia character.
Yeah. And
he didn't know this was going to happen. And he would have a kid come out there, and he would have the gong, and he would tell the kid, whack, whack, whack. So he'd tell the kid, go back. And the kid would go through the door into the backstage area. And then he'd yell whack, and the kid would hit the gong. Everybody would laugh. The kid come running back out. So what I did is the kid comes back. I said, all right, hold, stop. And I gave the kid our crossbow. And I took the gong, and he yells whack, and I hit it, and everybody laughs. And then I come backing out, and Rick's looking at me like, what are you doing? And then the kid comes out with a crossbow, and you could see it in his eyes. It was the best. And trying to get him to crack is almost impossible. And there's a point where he does a slow motion thing. Have you remember that? So he does a slow motion roll all the way back, and his legs go up against the wall. And so I would come running out in slow motion and just pretend to just beat him up. And then I'd reach in and I'd pull out money that I'd had up my sleeve, and I'd pretend that I mugged him, that I'd run back. It's just so much fun to mess with.
It's so much great. I mean, honestly, I've seen Rick Rock is easily, and I've said this many, many times, Rick Rock is easily one of the most talented performers to ever grace the Renaissance Festival. He is incredible. And he's I mean, I've seen him spend 30 minutes with another kid from the cast, just building a bridge over puddles using benches, and just entertaining people during a rain day, and they're just improvising it. And it was like, it blew my mind. And I've always, since my very first year back in '93, I have always appreciated Rick and his performance and stuff like that.
So Rick is someone that I really want to tap because he's such a long history. He started with the fair and things like that. That we lost Clark.
Yeah.
And and a lot of the acts, I mean, we're in our 50s. I know a lot of the acts aren't getting any younger, and we're going to start losing more and more of them. Yeah. And all of that knowledge and all of that experience is going to go. And it's like, I want to try to capture that. I was thinking about maybe doing a podcast where I interview all these old acts to try to keep their knowledge to give to younger entertainers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So something like that, or a book or something.
Yeah. And Chris, Rick Rock has also been, he's been fighting throat cancer for the last year. And,
he's performing again.
Yeah, he's performing again. And
I'm going to actually be performing with him this weekend at a fair.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Where is that fair? What is that?
It's again? Kalamazoo. It's the McDudley. It's a summer festival, and what it is it's basically it's to bring awareness to people with special needs. And it's a festival. They're setting up the festival so it's easy for anyone with special needs to get around and to see the shows, and it's really
Oh, cool.
a spectacular event.
That's great.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. But it's also for us, it's the first time we've been together and that we've been on stage since the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So we're all extremely excited to finally get together. And I'm probably, because I'm such a sap, I'm probably going to tear up. So
Probably.
I'm just warning everybody, it's going to happen. Just be ready for it.
One of the things I always appreciated about you and your act too, particularly, is the fact that I mean, I've having the position that I'd been in the fair for a number of years. I've been able to become friendly with a lot of the acts, the
Yeah.
stage acts. But I've also experienced stage acts that were kind of snooty, kind of stuck up, or a little bit, or at least standoffish, because they're a stage act and they don't interact all that much with local cast. And I always appreciate the fact that you guys have never been like that. You know, always
love the cast.
Right. You know, it was always so great to see, like, because you were really, I mean, I don't know if it was maybe because you are, you know, a lot more local than some of the people coming from like Georgia or, you know, or wherever else. But it was, I always really appreciate the fact that the guys from the Rogue Blades, man, they're super cool, man. They'll hang out with you. They'll talk to you. You know, you could talk bits with them or whatever. They'll bit with you. You know, I mean,
I have got some
always
great
really cool.
pictures of the peasant dancers one year.
Yeah.
They tied me to the maypole.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was going, Kalima, and she was going to rip my heart out. It was the best.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, because Dave does not do color or enthusiasm. So I hate the peasant dancers. So that was.
So you're also a writer, though.
Yes. As well, you know, thank you. That's an excellent segue. Copyrighted mine now. Yeah. I actually write novels about the Rogue Blades. Correct. So I've gotten 2 that I self-published and then sell at the fair, and they, of course, every existing copy was destroyed in the flood. So if you have one of the copies, you have one of the only ones in existence right now. But I'm working on
so I believe we have both.
I have both of them.
I think I'm pretty sure you guys all do. But I'm working on getting those reprinted. So and I've got a third one done. So the book is a trilogy, and I have that third one done. Then I'm going to try to get that printed up before the fair starts this year. Then I did, because I did a Kickstarter to pay for the second book printing, and I have. So one of the rewards was I would write a Rogue Blade story with whoever was the donator as one of the main characters in it. So I have that book done too.
Awesome.
So I have got so many books, and it was funny you were talking about steampunk. I also have a steampunk novel that I'm going to be getting out pretty quick, and it's a steampunk superhero novel.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh, cool.
And so what I did, and also what was fun about it is, see, I didn't know a lot about steampunk, but I love steampunk. I just love the idea, and so I started looking around to write a book about it, and so I went to one of my buddies who does like a circus sideshow type thing, and I said, "Hey, would you want to be my steampunk Joker to my steampunk Batman?" And he said, "Yeah, how much do I have to pay you?" And I said, "Not a thing. Just give me the okay and we're in." So I use his character as the foil for my hero, and so I thought, well, how else would I get more steampunk stuff in there? So do you know who Professor Elemental is?
That sounds familiar.
So. Oh, yeah. If you do, you are in for a treat. Professor Elemental is he is a singer who is a chap hop artist. It's hip hop done with a proper British accent in the steampunk world.
I've seen this guy.
Brilliant.
I think I've seen this guy.
Brilliant. One of his songs is called Fighting Trousers. And he does a diss song. He does a diss song with another chap hop artist. It's brilliant. Look him up. You will love him.
Still got Dave's audio, but your video froze up.
Oh yeah, your video froze.
Oh, there you are.
There we go. Okay.
Hey!
You just had to do the magic hands.
Yeah.
I did. Spirit fingers, jazz hands. I got them all.
Okay. Yeah, I just looked him up here, and
dancing phalanges.
There they are. Phalanges.
He's got he seems to be quite the character here.
So, well, what his character is a time traveling. He's just an eccentric character. So I said, "Hey, I'm writing a book. I would like to use you as a character in the book, if that's all right." And he said, "Well," I said, "it's a steampunk superhero book." He goes, "Those are two things I love. Yes, send me." And I did that. Then my wife got sick, and so I didn't contact him again. And then just like 3 months ago, I sent him a message saying, "Hey, remember this?" And he goes, "I think I do." And I said, "Kid, what do you think?" And he said, "Well, send me a copy and I'll read it." He read it, said, "Love it. Yes, you don't have to give me a dime." He goes, "I know how hard it is to do steampunk stuff." He goes, "You have my blessing." So he's going to be my hero's Q. He's going to do all the special gadgets and stuff like that. So
cool.
And,
Very
and
cool,
I,
very cool.
I actually just looked him up. He looks really familiar, but I know that I may have just seen him in passing and not necessarily at an event, but
yeah, he's been around here before, I believe. So you might have seen him at some
and it's funny that you mentioned like Batman, because I actually did a steampunk Batman.
I know, I saw it. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was absolutely gorgeous.
Chris and Renee he and his wife met at a steampunk event, and have been very active in the steampunk community in several states.
So I'm excited to actually start doing some other things, because I've already talked to the guy who makes our swords and said, "Hey, I need 2 of these kind of swords." And he said, "Yeah, we could probably do that." So then if I could get into like a convention or something, maybe I could do a sword fight or do a show or something there. I'm very excited.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
So because steampunk is just neat.
Well, if you want to ship, our ship's always looking for people.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, you got me.
Weapons master,
Yeah,
whatever.
Russ is head of security, so we are
not a very secure ship.
Yeah, we are a brewery ship.
Yeah,
our ship is a floating bar and brewery.
Hey, you guys are like on brand.
It's the kindred spirit.
Yeah,
I'll send you guys a copy of the book. You can read it and let me know what you think if you want to.
Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely.
I'd love to get some feedback.
So Renee said you've seen him. You went to his show. You went to a show.
Okay, I don't remember going to his show, but he does look familiar, and that's why I'm like, I thought I saw him at an event somewhere.
If it was at a con, you might have been drunk.
Me drunk at a con?
No, I don't.
Nah, the joke word there is might have been.
Oh, yeah. Renee just said, "Oh my God, Steampunk Rogue Blade show."
I'm so down with that.
That'd be great. I honestly, guys, like I said, I really enjoy your show. I've enjoyed being getting to know you, becoming your friend. I mean, honestly, whenever people say, "Hey, when like new people would come into the Ren Fair," I always say, "Well, the first thing you got to do is any show at the Green Grove stage, particularly the Rogue Blades, particularly if they have kids,
so kind.
Is a great show to see because it's light, it's funny, it's good for the it's funny for the kids, it's funny for the adults. Everybody loves it, and honestly, I mean, like
Sir John comes out in a corset instead of
I like that. There you go. He's really writing it down too. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was friends with the Duelist too. Like I know Randall, and we had become pals. And when he left, I mean, he was an all right guy. It was just his partners that were kind of douchebags. But
and there were a number of them.
Yeah,
and I can see why he'd cycle through them.
Yeah, exactly. And but when he left the show, when he left the Ren Fair, we need a comedy sword fighting act. People were like, we don't have Don Juan and Miguel. The Duelists had started to develop a fan following because good-looking guys swinging swords around, and I mean it was massive amounts of dick jokes in their show, but still. And then you guys came along and you filled that slot very well.
Dale Walter was one of the ones who pitched for us. So
sure,
I thought that was great.
And it's just been great ever since. I mean, you guys have just owned the Green Grove. It's great.
Oh, it's they moved us a couple of times to try to do something different. we keep getting moved back. And we love the stage, we love that area, we love the other acts that we work with. I mean, it's been the best thing for us. When I mean, I have gone through a lot of stuff in my life with illnesses and surgeries and divorces and things like that. And the show has been the constant.
Yeah.
And since we've been at Michigan, it has been that 2 month stretch that I can count on. And I know that I go there and I see people that I adore.
Yeah.
And that it's hard not to like people who like you.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, when they, even if you're politically don't line up, which I do not line up with a lot of people I know.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I'm a bleeding heart liberal. I'm not just a liberal. I'm ridiculous. And I know I am. And it's like, I know, and not everybody is.
Right.
But I can still really like people who don't agree with me ideologically.
Sure.
And so for me, it's been a wonderful exercise in acceptance.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people, especially after, the Trump administration, have written people out of their lives.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's like, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to agree, and it's done. We can do something else now. And it's like, I'm not willing to do that.
There is that was the thing the last like 2 years or so, particularly at the end of the Trump administration and stuff, that a lot of people were like, a lot of my friends were surprisingly conservative and supportive of the Trump administration, and Chris and I obviously were not. And and I've done my best to not necessarily write people off just because they were conservatives. I mean, I've had to like kind of block a few people on Facebook because I'm like, at the very least, I cannot see their bullshit on Facebook every day. But
and nor do they want to see yours.
I will not. I will not.
They think you're as dumb as you think they are, and it's like, okay.
I will not write you off because of political beliefs. I will write you off for bigoted beliefs or
hate is a different topic entirely.
And that's what
economy.
And that's what a lot of things happen here is we saw a lot of people's hate come out over the last 4 years. And that's what it was. They felt that they could show it because, well, their leader did. But
I also think there's a chance that if we're better than he was, that you might win him back.
Yeah.
Or they might change. Because I mean, people change.
Yeah.
And if you don't let them change, they're never going to.
Yeah. One of my friends at Festival, he was on the security team. And I mean, I hired him, and he was always, we've known each other for 20 years. And I've always known him to be a good person, a good man. And he wanted to join the security team because he had been one of those guys that had always just come to the festival and partied and drank and stupid. And he finally was like, I really want to give back to the fair. I want to pay back all of the things because I've had such an amazing time. Is there anything I can do? And I was like, I need another area monitor. And he came on board and he was great. He did a great job. He's a dad, so he had that dad vibe. He was, had been there for a long time. He's well known. So the patrons knew him.
Friendly face.
Yeah. I mean, and just a good dude. And then I found out how conservative he was politically. And I got to admit, there was a few times when I was like, but then we talked things out, we've discussed things, and we're like, and he holds him and I up as an example of how two people from the opposite side of the political spectrum can still be good friends. And no, there's still times that he says dumb shit. And I'm just like, and I got to go, Carl. But he's at his core, he's still he's a good guy. And it's just, he grew up in a rural area with rural people and with conservative values. And I mean, he's not a bigot. He's not a homophobe. He's not racist or anything of that matter. But when it comes to but defending our borders or the economy or all that other stuff, he's very conservative. I did get him to admit that Trump was a disappointment, though. So that's good, at least, but we don't want to get on a political.
And I'm not trying to.
We really should move on to some other topics too.
So yeah, but
we're
real quick,
we're an hour and 15 minutes in.
Real quick before we move on though, what you do have something else coming up, and I'm going to be there too, and that is the Canterbury Stroll at the end of
Stroll,
July.
yeah, that's it. Last year they were going to do one of the first festivals they've done at Canterbury Village in a long time. I mean, they used to do one or even two,
Yeah, for
a year.
years.
And that either it stopped or we stopped doing it. I don't remember exactly which, but
I think the Canterbury Village, like their medieval or Ren Fair thing, kind of just stopped because I think maybe even just pressure from the MRF.
change of management maybe or something.
Yeah,
I don't
change of
know.
management.
But yeah, this year they're going to do it again. They were going to do it last year. I'd even got to the point of signing a contract, and then I got the notice like, hey, death is in the air. So it's
Yeah.
like, all right, well, maybe we won't do a plague show. So we didn't get to do that. But then this year he contacted me again and said, hey, we're doing it again. It's like, all right, I'm in. Then I find out you told me that you're going to be there. That's
Yeah,
so exciting.
Yeah, it's really great. I'm going to be strapping on the platforms again, and I'm going to be doing Oliver Ogre again, and
That's gonna be great.
I'm really excited, and I'm going to be excited. It's gonna be great to pal around with you guys, and Red
Yeah.
Rock's going to be there too, and a bunch of I believe they have gotten a bunch of street performers and characters probably from festival and probably some other places. They did want me. They did say, we want you to help with the makeup. I'm like, that's fine. I'll help people with it. If they have makeup, I'll bring it along. But I'm really excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, so that's the last weekend of July, I believe, and the 24th and 25th, I believe, is what it is.
I'll tell you what, that's one of the things I hate about you is that not only do you have a good character, you also have other skills. All right, that sucks. You're not allowed to do that because they always want you there. If they don't want sword fighters, we don't get invited.
Okay. Yeah, man, you
You're
have to
always welcomed.
You have to diversify yourself a great deal in this fast-paced Renaissance festival.
That's what
industry.
it's known as, fast-paced.
Exactly.
Nothing says fast-paced like the Renaissance.
Yeah, you've got to be able to provide them with many things.
They really keep up with the times.
Yeah, the medieval
times. There it is. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to perform with you again, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
We had so much fun when you were doing it at the front gate and walking the lane. So
we did. I was at the front gate for the first 3 weeks, and then I ended up moving back to the mermaid
thing. So it's fantastical creatures.
Yeah, I didn't get to play as much outside of the mermaids after I moved over there. But we're gonna have an additional mertender this year, so I will be able to kind of move around and kind of play a little bit more.
Excellent.
So it'll be great.
I never actually did anything other than go up in costume and drink.
Didn't you judge? You judged
I did. The only time I ever actually, quote unquote, worked at the fair was when Renee and I actually judged a homebrew competition.
Yeah,
that's on brand too.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is very much.
It was fun.
You could though. I mean, your costuming is exceptional.
Yes.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, but I want to drink.
Although
now with the way the prices are out there, I'm like, I don't want to go out and drink all day anymore because it hurts.
The other thing is too is once Chris gets into a Ren Fair outfit, he sweats like a whore in church.
Depending on the time of year.
Yeah.
Try wearing leather and all black. That's fun too.
Yeah. Well, you get used to
it. When I wrote the show in February, that was a great idea.
One of the reasons I don't have a Pendragon vest is because of the fact that I know how hot I'd be in it. I absolutely love their stuff, and I actually have a Pendragon leather coat.
Yeah, you do. It's beautiful.
full length leather. It is absolutely stunning, and it's one of my steampunk coats. But I rarely get to wear it because it's fucking hot.
Yeah, it's really hot. So,
yeah,
but we should move on.
Yeah, let's do something.
Let's move on now. So we might as well just jump right into Loki. Ready to say, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as of last week, we had Marvel released their new show.
Well, actually, do we want to go to Loki right away, or do we want to talk about some other things real quick? And
let's hit a couple. We'll end the show with Loki.
So one of the things you posted that I wanted to talk about was the He-Man trailer.
The He-Man trailer. Oh god!
Holy shit!
Now, Dave, were you a Masters of the Universe fan, or did you kind of?
Funny enough, I really wasn't.
Yeah.
I found He-Man to be a little cheesy.
Yes.
Then I thought to myself, you're being awful snooty for a guy who likes the Thundercats.
Well, I love the Thundercats too, and He-Man came first. The Thundercats came like 2-3
Yeah.
years later, and when He-Man came out,
He-Man was very cheesy though.
third, yeah, oh for sure.
Okay, as long as I've got verification and backup on that,
It was definitely cheesy.
Yeah.
There is a couple of documentaries about it on Netflix. One in particular showed that they talked to one of the guys that did a lot of the design, character design for the action figures, and it was funny because the guy was obviously a big fan of bodybuilding. He was this huge fan of bodybuilding and Schwarzenegger and Weider and all of those guys back in the day.
Yeah.
And he it was, I don't know, there seemed to be like an undertone there. There was like
I mean,
you really like bodybuilding, don't you? But God's bless, go to whatever. But it was just kind of funny, the undercurrent there of that
Hey,
particular interview.
like I said earlier, get your kink on.
Get your kink on or off, and bringing that joke around there. Good job, Chris. So anyway, but the documentary is really cool, kind of talking about how the Master of the Universe action figure line was right there at the beginning of action figures being like kind of a thing. I mean, we'd had the Star Wars figures and G.I. Joe and some of the other ones. It was at the very beginning, and Masters of the Universe were the first ones to kind of come in that slightly larger
Wasn't
size.
Yeah, they were the largest.
I thought that wasn't He-Man for the action figures?
No, the
Really?
figures came first, and then the cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually the cartoon changed it quite a bit, because the action figures used to come with these little comic books that kind of defined their story.
Yeah, I heard you guys talk about that before. Yes, yes.
And then the cartoon kind of shifted it a little bit, changed it. They changed some of the character roles a little bit, and Teela went from being the sorceress to being a like the warrior girl, and then the sorceress was a whole nother character, and other things like that. And the lore has grown a great deal over the years. They've expanded it, they've changed it, they've made like Skeletor is actually He-Man's uncle, and
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, Skeletor in the newer cartoon, because they made a newer cartoon back 10 years ago, where they try, or maybe like
I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was a very updated kind of newer version.
The fact that they made Skeletor his uncle makes it bad.
His name was Keldor, and he was basically a traitor to the throne, and he was cursed. Some sort of, I can't remember what it was, but some sort of curse or magic backfired on him, and that's what gave him the skull face. And he was also, because he had blue skin, he was indicative of the being a crossbreed or half breed or something with another race, and it was like looked down upon. So that was a little weird, but overall, pushing the boundaries there. Overall, the cartoon was very much like a big part of my growing up. It was like, I loved Master of the Universe. I had a shit ton of the toys. We used to run home from school, run from the bus stop to get home to turn on He-Man at 3:30 or whatever it was, or 4 o'clock, I think. And I just absolutely adored it. And I even collected some of the newer figures, and there's this huge fan following for them and everything. And Kevin Smith decided that particularly after the big success of the new She-Ra cartoon, Kevin Smith decided to jump in and go, we're going to make a new He-Man cartoon. And the funny thing about it too is, like, I was the perfect age bracket for He-Man at the time. I was like 8 when it came out, 7 or 8, and I remember getting my first He-Man and figures when I was in the hospital getting my tonsils out, and my mother got me a couple figures, and then soon after the cartoon came out, and I was just like, oh my god, it's so cool.
September 5th, 83.
Okay, yeah. So I was 9. Yeah, I was 9. So is that when the show started?
Yep.
Yeah. So it was
first
9. So
first episode was.
Yeah, and I think the figures premiered like a year or so before that, maybe.
Probably
2.
yeah.
So Kevin Smith was like, who's a couple years old?
February of 83.
Okay. So Kevin Smith is a a couple of years older than me, and he was like, "Yeah, He-Man, let's do it." And I was just like, "Wow, you were probably just a scotch. You're approaching that point of years where
Too
you're
old?
like, not too old, but
No.
maybe getting into a little more serious cartoons."
Well,
or a little more,
he's the same age as me, and I wasn't a huge He-Man fan.
right.
My brother was, who was 2 years younger than me.
So right, exactly.
And so I mean, he was a big He-Man. He was big into He-Man and the Transformers. And
Right,
I wasn't huge
like
into either one of them.
Transformers.
I liked the Transformers, but I was never huge into them. He actually collected them and things like that. I was more the earlier cartoons.
yeah,
I
see
was more
that.
G.I. Joe, but I did get into Thundercats. So
I was a
Thundercats.
Thundar the Barbarian guy.
Oh, Thundar
yeah.
the Barbarian. That was my introduction to the kind of barbarian thing, was Thundar.
Yeah,
Because
Conan was
little
right
too
there
young.
then.
Yeah, I was a little too young for Conan, so I don't think I saw Conan at that point, but I saw Thundar the Barbarian and saw Conan a couple years later, and I loved that cartoon. That was because what was cool, because that was apocalyptic
Yeah.
sci-fi.
mhm.
Oh, it was
You
the
know,
best. It's
it
like
was
that's
so
almost
cool.
a lightsaber.
And it was
Ariel,
just-
we ride.
Mm.
I love that.
and
show.
Ukla the Mock, and
Mhm.
oh man, some awesome stuff.
And what is she princess of? I
can't
Princess
remember.
Ariel, Princess of
Ariel.
what?
Do you remember? Hey, do you remember Black Star?
Yeah,
I was just
Black
going to bring
Star.
up Black Star. That was one of my favorites as a kid.
Black Star was very much a precursor to Superman.
the
Very
black
excuse
shard
me,
sword.
He-Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Star Sword or the
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And then he
I-
had a. What did he have? He had his buddy was almost Orko.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It was very much kind of a precursor to the Master of the Universe. It was
Yeah.
made by Filmation, and they used a lot of some of the similar kind of animation styles, and that was the thing. Filmation was famous for making animation that had cool art, but was very simplistic animation wise, and that's why there was so much repeated stuff on He-Man, the way he ran and the way the other characters ran. It was just to crack me up that He-Man could pick up a dragon and chuck it like it was no problem, but he'd pick up a rock. It was also obviously a rotoscoped kind of thing. I'd pick up a boulder the size of a medicine ball and he'd throw it and it'd be go.
Very, very dense rocks.
Yeah, very.
On Eternia. It's-
Yeah.
My big show though was Battle of the
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That was a
That
good
good
one.
one too.
G-Force,
Mm-hmm.
which they brought
Yeah.
back when my daughter was a kid as
Yes.
Saban's Eagle Riders, and they were the exact same cartoons that I watched as Battle of the Planet G-Force, except that they had completely redubbed them. All the characters had different names. The ship was different. It wasn't the Phoenix anymore. It was the Eagle. They had changed the characters, and that was actually one of the things about that show was that it actually had a transgender villain
It did. Yeah.
that they actually changed in the US version to make it into two different characters
Mm-hmm.
that were a brother
Yeah.
and sister.
Yeah.
But in the actual original, it's actually a gender fluid character.
So, but to get back to He-Man, apparently end of July they're going to be premiering the new cartoon, the first part of season 1, and honestly, the trailer looks incredible. It's very much very similar or very close to the original designs. Kevin Smith has talked about that it is essentially a true sequel to the original.
Yeah, he's
cartoons.
very excited, very faithful to it.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I am super jazzed. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I have in
It looks great.
my Netflix queue, and that's going to jump the line, I'm sure.
Yeah, it comes out July 23rd, I think it is part 1.
I believe so. And the weekend, right before the weekend where we're performing, Dave.
Yes.
And it just, I've even read a few things like in the original cartoon, He-Man had like more of a cross on his chest, and they've changed it to more of a stylized H.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, why'd they do that? Oh, for crying out loud. Give us a break, guys. We're just, the design element's better, But it just it looks fantastic. The animation is really smooth, and
Well, Prince Adam isn't a big bodybuilder himself,
right?
Like he was in the original cartoon. No, he's like a skinny kid.
Yeah, he's like a little kid.
He Shazams up.
Yeah, he Shazams up.
Oh, good.
And that's what they did in the remake that they had out like 10 years ago too. I think I've got it up there somewhere. But Yeah, they made him more like a kind of a like a slim teenager.
And from the
Should be.
preview, Orko looks like a badass fucking wizard too.
Right. That too. They amped up Orko. I'm just like, wow, okay.
He's not
great.
just like comic relief. You watch him like stopping this massive spell coming in. And...
I mean, he's like a floating demon guy. He's awesome. Are you kidding me? See, the thing is, I will give the one thing I really liked about He-Man is the huge, vast variety of characters. I always loved that.
Yeah, I loved it too. There was a lot of characters. The only thing that bothered me, and it came down to the fact that they had, because Filmation was famous for keeping the budget low, is that you would see guest characters once and then never again, or rarely again. They'd bring in Stratos or Buzz-Off or whoever, the various different Moss Man or whoever, or one of the various.
You could
villains.
just be making up characters now, because I have
no
idea.
Well, that's the thing. That's one
of
the things I was just going to say, though. One of the things that got me about He-Man that I actually didn't like even back then was that it seemed like really lazy toy making, because the toys came first. I'm like, they have a bunch of guys sitting around a room and they're like, okay, this guy's like really bestial and stuff. What do they call him? Beast Man. Okay, this guy's from the water and stuff. What do you call him? Merman. Well, this guy's got a bear trap for a jaw. What do you call him? Trap Jaw. What do we? I mean, there's no originality.
This guy's got three eyes. What are we gonna call him? Triclops.
Triclops. I'm like, there's very little originality there.
The main character is named He-Man.
Okay? Yeah, I mean,
it's He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Skeletor. His face looks like a skeleton. He's Skeletor.
I didn't know.
We'll just change the last letter to R.
Blue? I thought it was a suit. I didn't realize his skin was actually blue.
Yeah, Skeletor's skin is blue. Yeah, I love the design element of a lot of the characters too. What's that?
He's part tiefling.
Yeah. Actually, he had. If you see him before the skeleton face, he has like pointed ears, and I mean, he looks like kind of like a drow actually, and except just more blue. But they, he had like a sinister design and stuff. But I always did like the design, but it always did crack me up about how all the characters had these little furry shorts. They were all like, "Can we put pants on these guys?"
Short shorts.
Barbarella all the time.
They were running around in the fur banana hammocks.
Man. Oh, that ain't comfortable. Come on. But
freedom of movement, man. Freedom of movement. You can.
And that's the one thing I figured, that maybe they put He-Man in pants, but no, even in this new updated version, he's still in the shorts. So okay, but that was the thing. Yeah, I mean, they always had the regular characters. You'd see Man-at-Arms Tila, you'd see Orko, you'd see Cringer or Battle Cat, and Ram Man became kind of a regular after a while.
Yeah,
and it was funny too, because
probably the worst name.
Oh yeah, and he was like
Ram Man.
Yeah. We're gonna let Dresden. We're gonna let him just hit things with his head, and we're gonna make him really dumb. Hey man,
it's not offensive at all.
Go and get the guy, and you're like, wow. There were definitely some action figures that were a little weird. There was a character called Fisto, and he had a big metal fist.
Ooh, wow, that's
problematic. That's because they couldn't use Cockknocker.
Right.
Fair enough. Which Kevin Smith did use.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
There was a character too called he was kind of the opposite of Fisto, because Fisto had like a beard and a big handlebar mustache, and he was supposed to be kind of like a pugilist, right?
Okay, all right.
And he had striped shirt and everything. And the opposite number was a guy, dark skin. He had a karate chop giant, golden hand, and his name was Jitsu, and he was very Asian in his design too. So it was like Mongolian almost. And you're just like, dude, really? God.
Chop is the opposite of a fist?
Yeah.
Not a kick?
No.
Just a guy with one big foot?
Big.
That would have been funny.
That would have been really funny.
You would have heard him. Russ, I do have to ask you a He-Man question. What did you think of the movie? Now, before you answer this, let me tell you one thing. I loved that movie.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it.
I loved it. It was so fun.
It was fun.
Dolph Lundgren wasn't bad.
No, he wasn't bad. He wasn't, and Frank Langella Skeletor was amazing.
He was amazing.
Yeah. And you had
the energy and the pathos and the emotion he got out of that face when he said, "I long to smash you out of existence." Like, oh, you're taking this seriously. I love this.
Yeah, the one woman that played Evil Lynn with those eyes, that she's, you know, was very well known for those kind of roles and like really intense evil characters and stuff. And I mean, hell, honestly, Courtney Cox, one of her early roles. And
if they could have done Urko instead of Billy Barty's Wildor character, I would have been much happier.
Sure.
But I mean, I understand why they couldn't do a floating, you know,
right. I mean, keeping the budget lower.
Blue-eyed demon, but I really enjoyed that movie.
I did. I mean, when I saw it though, when I was a kid, I was kind of like, there was a parts of it that I didn't like some of the changes. You know, I felt that He-Man was depowered, and you know, and because you don't, when you finally see him at the end where he finally is, "I have a power," and you're like, okay, there it is. There it is.
I say good journey to people all the time, and I know no one knows what I'm talking about. No one, but I still do it anyway. Good
If
journey.
you said good journey to me, I would have gotten
I know you would.
Yeah.
But I love that movie. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And when I was growing up, I lived in Temperance, Michigan, which is a little tiny town just before Toledo. Okay. And we had a theater that was just a regular theater. Then it went to a $1 theater. Then it went to 50-cent theater. Then they closed it down.
Yeah.
Well, the last movie they had for the last 2 months was Masters of the Universe. So I got to see that movie for 50 cents whenever I wanted to.
I've been meaning to add it to my collection, honestly. I've been meaning to, because I have a very extensive movie collection.
Who was the guy? What's the character with 2 swords? The bad guy.
He was a character.
If you call him Sword Man, I'll be really upset.
No, he was created for the movie. He was, and they did make a figure for him, but he that was like he was made for the movie.
So that actor is he's a sword master. He's a whip master. His name is Anthony DeLongis.
Oh yeah, I've heard that name. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brett Copes worked with him extensively. So Whip Boy worked with. Yeah, they're tight. So anyway, but I didn't know that. But I had bought a video on working on different kind of sword fighting techniques by Anthony DeLongis. And so one of the moves we do in the show, I cribbed right from his video. Yeah, the one at the end where when we're fighting the 2-on-1 fight, and Paul comes over, I hit it, I bring his sword up, block Jamie's sword with it, then hit the sword through the middle. That's right from his video. And so Anthony DeLongis has a lot of fun movies. If you get a chance, look him up. He was in one of the movies with Jet Li, where he played an American who saber fought against Jet Li, who was using a Chinese. It's just the fight scene is phenomenal.
Okay, yeah, I just pulled him up. Yeah, the guy does have a pretty extensive.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Dave, his character's name was
what?
Subtle and okay.
We really should talk about Loki if we're going to get to it, because we are at an hour and 40 minutes now. So we're already going to be, even if we speed through Loki, we're going to be pushing 2 hours. So.
All right, so Loki, episode 1 last Wednesday. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Oh, I'm in. I'm 100% in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm like, I cannot wait to see what they're going to do. I've never seen so much character development and growth in a short amount of time. Like just after he saw all the footage and saw his death and everything, and just
he also saw his mother's death, his father's death, which he had not experienced in this timeline
at that point.
Yeah. I actually had to tell Stella when we were watching it. I was like, now remember, this is Loki right after the first Avengers movie. He hasn't gone through all the character development of Thor: The Dark World and Ragnarok and all the other things that he's
done. And with that, so yeah, it picks up right in Infinity War where Loki escapes, or Endgame where Loki escapes. And what I loved is that first scene where you see him go and just falling out of the sky into the Gobi Desert, and he spots the rock and just runs over and stands up on it, so he's towering over everyone, and he starts doing that same speech about glorious purpose, and they just go, "Who are you?"
They don't speak his language. They don't know what he's saying. They have no clue who he is,
and he's just confused. Like,
I love too when the guard comes, the one woman that arrests him basically,
whoa,
and
whoa,
she
whoa, 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 whoa.
but she just hits him, and that effect was so amazing. She goes, "I've slowed down time, but you're feeling all the
Yeah,
pain."
you're moving at 1/16 speed.
Yeah.
But feeling all that in real time, yeah.
Oh my God, so cool. And just how they put together the TVA and all of the amazing, just the set, that's the various sets and stuff. And, where you get, what if I'm an android and I don't know? Or what if I'm in a robot
Yeah,
and I don't know? And
Does that happen a lot? Do people not know they're robots?
it happens more often than you think. But it was just like, I mean, dude, that was so hilarious. And he just like steps through and he's like, aha! I mean, when they this is fine as Guardian leather.
It just erases it. One of the things that got me too was I'm like, that whole 50s feel of everything at the TVA.
Office area, yeah.
It made me it made me feel like it was all from Fallout. I mean, it had that it like with the PSAs and Miss Minute and all that explaining everything that's going on. And
yeah, it did have the video game Fallout. It did have a very.
I've never played, so that's excellent.
Fallout's it's a really great Fallout 4 or Fallout 76 or
Fallout 3
or Fallout 3. Fallout 3 is actually considered one of the best Fallout games that they've made, but it's a really great game, and it's a setting where it's an alternate world where they discovered atomic energy much earlier. So by the 50s, they had like atomic powered cars and different things like that, and they'd figure things out. And then in the early 2070s, they like a massive nuclear like war happens. And so when your character wakes up your character leaves a massive nuclear fallout vault that they would put they fill with like 300 people and go, okay, come, we'll see you in 200 years. And so your character comes out and into the wasteland. And so the design element for Fallout is it's futuristic technology, but with a much more kind of retro design.
Very 50s feel.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got like the 50s PSA type of thing.
Yeah.
Cartoons.
Yeah, and stuff. So it's just really great. Yeah, check it out, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's from Bethesda.
I fear it'll eat my life.
Oh, it will.
Because once I start playing, I don't.
It's an RPG, man. It like from the same people that make Skyrim and some of the other ones. It will consume your soul.
Yeah.
In a good way.
I'm letting my son handle that stuff now.
Let him.
As a 12-year-old, he loves.
It's a violent game, but he's about the right age for it.
Yeah, probably.
So anyway, so yes, the design element in the TVA was really cool too. It was very kind of retro and like just the various people working there, and they were all button downs and they were wearing ties, and the one guy that was like, "What's a fish?" You know.
Well, that was later, but yeah, the with Owen Wilson's character too, Mobius.
Mobius M. Mobius.
What's that?
His name is Agent Mobius M. Mobius.
Anyway, Mobius, we see him, he's in France in 1598 or something like that, originally, and a bunch of their guards had been killed on some routine assignment, and they did get to reset the timeline, and this young girl comes in, and he goes over and talks with her, and says, who did this? And she points at a stained glass window that has the devil on it.
Yeah.
And my first thought is, I'm like, Mephisto!
No.
He didn't come in the other one. We're going to bring him in here. No, but I knew it wasn't. It was just, I'm like, she points at that, and I'm like, Mephisto! Let's start that rumor again.
Which sounds like a He-Man character, to be honest.
Mephisto. It's a whole different thing. Mephisto and his brother Mephisto.
But yeah, so...
terrible.
But yeah, that's the whole thing. This was very much a setup episode, but it was also getting Loki to that point where he realizes that he sees himself as the villain.
Yeah.
And that he has to be. And one of the things I really kind of thought of in this is, with the way that the TVA is, that their job is to protect the sacred timeline.
Correct.
So, and that everything's been figured out. So that actually plays very much into the Asgardian myths, that everyone was fated to do certain things. You couldn't deviate what you were fated to do, which makes the timekeepers the Norns.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
I
That's
don't know.
an interesting theory. I like that.
But because we haven't seen anything about the Norns in the MCU.
Right. Yeah.
They don't talk about that. And that was the whole thing, is even in Norse mythology, Loki was fated to do everything that he did. He didn't want to betray the gods. He didn't want to go against them. He was fated to do it, so he knew he had to do it.
Yeah, see, I really liked how, when, and we're jumping ahead again a little bit, but about how he kind of like comes to that realization, and he tells Mobius, because Mobius the whole time, is trying to pull the development out of him, trying to get him to realize that there's more to him than just being, this, what he thinks he wants. And when Loki finally goes, I never wanted to hurt people. It's just, that's the role I was had to play.
He said it's the weakling, being trying to be tough.
The desperate grab for power, desperate need for power.
Yeah.
Mobius, that character is one of the favorite ones I've seen in any of the series so far, because the way he kept talking with Loki, tell me about that. Okay, yeah, give me more of that. Okay, let's start there. And he just kept talking to him like a person, not like a god,
right.
and someone that he liked, that he cared about, that he wanted to understand.
He even said, "I'm a fan."
And when Loki finally said that he was a villain, and Mobius said, "It's not how I see it," was so kind and so understanding. It's like, it made me tear up. It's like, that was so remarkable, because he's like, and he says, "Oh, the TVA is formidable." He goes, "That's my experience." And it's like, he's so understanding. He is such a mentor to this arrogant god who all of a sudden just like, I don't like it.
I love when they're talking. He's like, "I'll burn this whole place down." He's like, "Well, I'll show you where my desk is. You can start there." Or
the Department of Nightmares.
I'll
help you do that one.
That's a different department. I'll help you burn that one down.
Yeah.
So good.
That was so good. When Loki discovers the drawer full of Infinity Stones.
Oh, it just breaks him.
Because if you'll notice, when he shows up and they've got the Tesseract, the light in the Tesseract dulls. It's
all magic power, and magic doesn't work in that dimension
realm.
Yeah,
and he's like, have you tried to use it? Oh, several times. And you're just like, oh man, it's so cool.
He's like, and you see him hold it, and he's like,
yeah.
When that guy says that people use him as paperweights.
Yeah.
And he's like, the thing that he's craved for was this power so much. And he finally has a drawer full of it, and it means nothing.
Yep.
Everything, all the people he's killed, all the people he's turned on, everything he's done, nothing. And then he just realizes, oh, I'm little. This is the most powerful force in the universe. I'm not even close to this. That was such a great realization. It was such a good moment for him.
Yeah.
And what it took Thor, the 3-4 movies to do, it took the TVA 25 minutes.
Yeah. Well, arguably Loki is a lot smarter than Thor for the most part. I mean, but
no, to touch his heart, to actually get through to him.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah. And man, I tell you, but I saw this meme that was like, it showed like all of the characters that have died because of or trying to get the Infinity Stones, or it showed Tony Stark, and it showed the Hulk, all his arm mangled, and it showed the Black Widow who's dead, and then it shows the kid that
Gamora who is dead, but not out of her own fault.
It shows the kid that's like, oh yeah, some of them use them as paperweights. Some of the guys are like Jesus Christ,
And it just leveled up the game. It's okay, all of the Avenger movies leading up till now, this was the thing.
Yeah.
We are at a different level now, kids.
Oh yeah.
It's like, wow.
I loved how amazed he was when he saw the vista. That was, I mean, when you're talking about a guy that grew up in Asgard, a place that's supposed to be like city of the gods and the beautiful,
breathtakingly gorgeous.
And so that's one of the things I was going to bring up was, seeing that vista was amazing. And he, like you said, you didn't have magic. He's like, we don't. And Loki saw that as magical
Yeah.
because that's the same thing with Asgard. It's all built with magic, and he's not magic. I think that kind of broke him a little too. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I've learned about the Marvel shows is look at every little detail that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that stood out to me in that cityscape, was on one of the buildings. So you had the timekeepers over here holding up that big like time ticker thing, and then right next to that was like a Space Needle type looking thing, and on the top it said T282. So I'm like, all right, what would that mean? I'm like, let's look up Thor 282, the first appearance of the timekeeper.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
They put
that's
little Easter eggs like that in every show.
What do the floors mean?
Yes.
On the elevator. What?
That's
what
what
are those-
I want to go back and actually look at that too. I haven't analyzed that yet, but I want to see what each of those mean.
I paused it to see if anything would jump out at me, to see if it was House of M or Secret Wars or something like that, and nothing. I didn't see anything.
It was like pausing on the dry erase board in WandaVision.
Yeah.
You could see what. Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. I do that in the Star Wars like cartoons and stuff like that. I will pause things when I see the Republic or the Imperial writing and actually translate it because I want to know what it says. I want to see if they actually do make it like what it is, and they always do. It's always exactly what it's supposed to be, like a city hall or something like that. I did it in there's a Simpsons episode that just came out recently that was basically Maggie doing Star Wars, and she's in preschool, and they have the Imperial writing on the chalkboard, and I actually translated that, and it says, "Congratulations, nerd, you figured it out."
That's awesome.
You gotta appreciate that's a grand effort.
Right? Like that one's great. But anyway, back to Loki. So there's all sorts of other little things in there too. And one of the things that I've heard a lot of people talking about is that this is going to be how they retcon out all of the TV.
Well, they have talked about how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer canon.
And this is how they're saying that they're going to do it. Because one of the things, if you look in one of the scenes when Loki's escaping, one of those time doors opens up and a guy comes through with a woman who looks a whole fucking lot like Peggy Carter.
Oh.
And so they're saying that's how they're going to say that Agent Carter never happened in this timeline. They're going to get rid of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this timeline. They're going to get rid of all of the Netflix shows in this timeline because they're not part of the sacred timeline.
All right. Well, that makes sense. I guess. I still think that sucks, though.
Now saying that, I really do hope that we see Charlie Cox in Spider-Man.
He's supposed to be in Spider-Man
but it's still rumored. I don't think it has been confirmed yet.
I thought he was there, but as a lawyer.
Yeah,
he's
Matt Murdock.
He's going to be Matt Murdock.
As Matt Murdock, yeah.
Yes.
I've heard that John Bernthal is supposed to come back in the Moon Knight show as the Punisher.
Well, yeah, that would fit too, I think.
Yeah.
I would be very happy with
Moon
that.
Knight.
Honestly, I would be happy with all of them coming back
for
except for Danny Rand. I really don't want to see him come back, but all the other characters from the Netflix shows I would love to see. I think they were all fantastic.
I didn't hate Danny Rand.
I did. I liked him better in Defenders and in season 2 of Iron Fist.
I did like Defenders quite a bit.
But I think a lot of it was the fact that the first season of Iron Fist was just so poorly written.
It was rough.
I mean, I like Colleen Wing. I just did not like him as Danny Rand. And I think
the second season was better, but it was definitely a rough.
I think he got some acting coaching or something because I mean he was just awful.
I wasn't impressed with the fight choreography. You got a guy who's supposed to be one of the top martial artists in the world, and I just wasn't impressed for the most part, But that being said, I am very, very excited about Sean.
Yeah. But back to Loki.
Yes.
So the whole thing is that Mobius is recruiting Loki to help him catch this ultimate dangerous variant.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, and you need the God of Mischief to help you." And he's like, "Yeah,
That's
because
right.
it's you."
Yeah. See, now I did not expect that at all.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah. Pardon me.
Yeah. Excuse me?
I did not expect them to do that. So that's interesting. So we're going to see
Yeah.
a second variant of Loki that is obviously gone to the way to the dark side,
Right.
to Thanos side. And
Which we see at the very end of the episode
Oh,
when they go back to like
That was-
Oklahoma 1858 and
Yeah.
they find
which has
like
to mean something.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
which they find a shovel from the late third millennium or something like that, or early third millennium, and it's got like colors all over it, and yeah, just destroy it and we'll get out. We'll reset things, and they're like, oh, there's somebody out there, and then they find oil in the field too, and they figured somebody came back just to get rich.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, lantern gets held up, boom, drops in the ground, and
Fire.
they all just burn.
And see, now my question
And then he
is,
takes that time resetter thing.
yeah, he did. Yeah. And see, my question is too, is like, okay, so when in the timeline is this Loki from? Because if Loki dies in the true, in the
sacred timeline,
if he dies by Thanos' hand, then where does this Loki come from? Where did he diverge from? You know, is it from far in the past? Is he a divergence of the diverged Loki? You know, I mean, where does this guy come from? So that's where time travel starts to give me a headache. But I guess I get that same Picard, the Picard headache that you get from time travel. You know, always gives me time travel mechanics always gives me a headache. So, but like I said, dude, I mean, the shit that they pulled out of it, the fact that he was DB Cooper.
Yeah,
oh, God, how fun is
and
that?
it was all because he lost a bet with Thor and Heimdall.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, and Owen Wilson reacting to that too. I was expecting, an Owen Wilson wow at that point. You know, wow. Wow. You were DB Cooper. Wow. But we didn't get that, unfortunately.
He is so good in that role.
He really is.
Probably my favorite character in this so far.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see where they go with this.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I really enjoyed WandaVision, and I really enjoyed Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But this has really got me like intrigued. Like when Falcon and Winter Soldier happened, I was like, I can see where the story's going, because I was extremely familiar with the source material. I knew who John Walker was. I knew who his partner was. I knew, I was like, I can see the writing on the wall on this one. I have no idea what to expect with Loki. I have no idea. So I'm just really, really excited to see and tomorrow night, new episode. So
yep, tomorrow night, new episode. So real quick before we get out of here, because we got to get going. But one of the other things that I was going to touch on and I forgot about was I watched the latest episode of The Bad Batch, which I'm still loving this show.
My son got me to start watching that show.
It's fantastic, and
it is amazing.
It's tying in so many other things from the Star Wars universe, and the latest one that they've tied in is actually Jedi: The Fallen Order, the video game.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
They actually go to the planet that you start on in that game, where you're hiding out as a former Jedi Padawan. It's a scrapyard planet, and they go there to find technology that they need, and it's fantastic. I mean, every episode they're tying in another aspect of the Star Wars universe.
I love how much they care.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
You don't have to be a fan.
I think
but
Filoni,
if you are,
I think Filoni and Favreau are two of the biggest Star Wars fans on the planet.
So smart.
And
so smart.
And the fact that they're the ones that are pretty much running all of the new Star Wars stuff, I think is fantastic. And I think one of them needs to be the new head of Lucasfilm. I think Kathleen Kennedy needs to go the hell away, and either Favreau or Filoni, or as a joint team up, they need to be the ones in charge of.
I would have to agree. Yeah, it looks like CD just finished the Clone Wars and started the Bad Batch too. So, yeah, it's definitely. I think we need a new captain at the Star Wars ship, the rudder of the Star Wars ship. It's
Lucasfilm.
Someone with the vision of a Favreau, yeah, it would just be fantastic.
And someone that doesn't just go, all that stuff that the fans loved in the last 20 years, we're going to get rid of it because we don't want to recast. We want to use the original cast because that's what they really want.
Yeah. And we've talked about this before. I mean, it's like if they would just get somebody that like Favreau, who is not only a good storyteller but is also a huge fan of the Star Wars movies and stuff, we could honestly kind of, like I said, right the ship a bit, because it's been pretty bad. And we've talked about, Chris and I have talked about that the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire series that took place after Jedi should have been, that's what
Loved
the movie
that
should have been.
series.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Loved
what that.
series.
Well, and the
I
fact
just
that
listened to the first and second book. I got the third one on my phone now.
Well, and the fact
So
that
good.
they're introducing Han back into canon, I
Yeah,
think is
I saw that.
fantastic. They brought him back in Rebels, I think it was,
Yeah.
and then they're
I've missed
and-
so much. Of
and
the
they
animated stuff.
in the Mandalorian, the whole thing is Ahsoka's searching for him.
Yeah, he was referenced in Mandalorian. So
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Ahsoka. That's gonna be just unbelievable good.
I can't wait for
Rosario
on
Dawson's
Kenobi.
awesome.
Yeah, and
Over
Kenobi. Yeah.
Kenobi. It's like
Yeah.
We are living in a golden age, gentlemen.
we are.
It took many years for us nerds to get there. But
Yeah, and Dave, I don't know if you heard it on the show a few weeks ago, but I mentioned that this made me feel really old, but we actually have now had more time between now and when episode 1 came out than between when episode 4 came out to episode.
You go to hell.
yeah, you go straight down.
Oh God! When I start measuring things by my kids, it's like, oh my God!
Hurts me.
It's like,
Hurts me.
Oh, it's so bad.
Ugh.
I mean, to me, somebody said something. One of my buddies said something the other day. He's like, he's got his dad's house after his dad passed away, and he's talking about he's got to redo his deck. He's like, yeah, I don't think it's been redone in like 20 years. And I'm like, realized that, and I knew what he was referencing because he was talking about it being back like when he was still living there. And I'm like, realized that 20 years ago was like 2001. He's like, oh shit. Okay, maybe more like 30 years ago.
And time flies, guys. Time really
Yep.
flies. Speaking of time flying, it has been 2 hours. So
Yes,
we
it
should
has. It's
probably
been over
wrap
2 hours,
things
so
up.
we should get going.
I got one more thing to ask you guys about. Has
Please.
anybody listened to the podcast Marvel Wastelanders? Old Man Star-Lord?
Oh,
No.
not yet, but I've heard really good things.
So good.
Yeah.
It's a few episodes in. It is so good.
It's a fully acted, like more like a
Chris-
radio play.
Chris
Okay.
Elliott and God, who else?
I hate Chris Elliott.
You have every right to. However,
Yeah.
he's really good as Rocket.
Oh yeah, okay, I could see that. I could
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah,
We've been watching Schitt's Creek. and
Timothy
he's actually-
Busfield is the.
Yeah, he's the one
oh,
thing I
yeah,
don't like in Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, but yeah, Timothy Busfield. I mean, that guy came out of like nowhere, and he's Star-Lord, and it's like, yeah,
really
it's
good.
set in the future where, because they did Old Man Hawkeye, they did Old Man Logan, and so yeah, Old Man Star-Lord pretty much, and I've heard it's really
It's really
good.
good. It's really good.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
Marvel's knocking
still-
it out of the park with
I'm
some
still
of
trying to
these
get through.
podcasts.
Right now, I'm still trying to get through Critical Role. I'm on episode 124 now.
It's so daunting. I want to listen to it so bad, but there's so much. It's like what's
you know,
the TV
should-
series
What
that
you
has
should. What you should.
Supernatural? It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm actually start.
I'm getting near the end of season 2 of Supernatural. I've actually taken that on to
I
actually start watching it.
salute you because that looks like so much.
It is, but it's a
lot.
good show. But no, I mean, if you like, the idea of the Critical Role and stuff, you should check out Tavern Nights.
Yeah, our
Oh,
show
absolutely.
on Friday
I will
nights.
admit, I am way behind on everything because it has just been a hell of a last couple of years. So I am behind on many things,
Sure.
but I'm not giving up. So
Okay.
Well, and that one of the things we have talked about is actually the idea of having you on Tavern Nights.
Yeah.
We will have to
Sign
do
me
it
up.
while we're still remote because that'd be a hell of a commute for.
Yeah, come down from Midland because we are hoping to get back in a room together and play, and then do our show, because we put the show up on Twitch, but I think we're still a little bit, Chris, we're still at least a few more episodes away from that.
Probably at least a month, I'm thinking.
But yeah, we'd love to have you on as a guest character, man, and we'll figure out something
totally.
for you.
Anything.
Because you're a gamer. I remember you talking about just playing D&D with your kids, right?
Yeah. I did that. And I also want to turn my novels into D&D adventures.
Yeah. We'd actually, you and I had talked about like Oliver Ogre coming in as on your D&D adventure, and at one point I was like, oh, that would be lovely.
We'll do something.
So into it.
We'll make sure we do something with all of us, because
great. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight, Dave. Thank you very much for coming on. It was great having you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks.
I can't wait, man.
Roughly a little over a month at Canterbury. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to download and stream us at all the places you can find quality podcasting. Guys, we're on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Radio.com, and Spotify. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here on Twitch every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And we put the show up on YouTube a couple of days later. This coming Friday, we have our D&D Game Tavern Nights. So be sure to tune in this channel as well, again at 7 o'clock.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh in the middle of your spiel there, Russ. But I just read what CD wrote, and he was talking about Tavern Nights. He said, "It's fun when I can watch the fireball damage to all of the region." Yeah.
Our sorceress is quite the pyromaniac, and which
the
is funny
wizard's not too far behind her, so
she set many a fire ablaze,
many
a forest ablaze.
Last episode with her saying, "I'll burn this whole forest down."
We were being ambushed by a bunch of like just bandits, and just I kept taking pot shots, and people.
She knew they were in the trees, so she just starts fireballing trees.
Just gonna burn the.
She's like, "I'll burn this whole forest down."
Great. It's great.
The best one was when she missed. She actually threw one fireball and didn't hit anybody. She's like, "What?" And that was when she said, "I'll burn this whole forest down."
She missed. Yeah, completely didn't hit anybody because we couldn't see any of the opponents. They were all in the trees. And Dave, if you really are, I mean, Critical Role can be intimidating, but I mean, if you just start at the beginning and just do like, an episode while you're, here.
I would actually suggest starting at Campaign 2.
Yeah, start at Campaign 2. I love Campaign 1. But
I know you enjoyed Campaign 1, but Campaign 2 is that
they're a lot more polished. The show itself is more polished, and the show the first one is more like our show. It's very much more of a 2-string budget, and they're still learning
at least until the end.
Right,
until the end.
But the characters aren't nearly as likable in the first show.
See, I disagree, but still, the second campaign is really good. And then on top of it too, like honestly, they're starting. That was an announcement that was made last week. Critical Role is starting they're going to do a short 8-episode series. It's kind of as a bridge before they start campaign 3.
Exandria Adventures.
Yeah. So, and the DM Matt Mercer is actually going to be a player in this campaign. So it's going to be him and 2 of the other guys from the original show, and then 2 new people, and then a new DM. So that could kind of maybe that'll wet your whistle a little bit. And
speaking of that, real quick though, it was kind of cool to see Ashley in Loki.
Yeah, she's in a shot because she played the waitress.
That's the waitress
in Avengers. Ashley Johnson, who is a member of Critical Role. Yeah, she was the one that Captain America saved me.
I love her.
Yeah. Ashley Johnson, she's great. And then of course the cartoon that's going to come out sometime next year, probably. So the Critical Role cartoon. So
all right. Anyways. Well, you can follow us on most of the social medias. We are on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We are on Twitter @Drinking Nerd, Instagram Drinking Nerd, and we are on the Untapped app. You're drinking Facebook. You're nerds. Yeah. You can just search for Drinking Nerd, send us a friend request, and get you added.
Exactly. Dave, tell us where our viewers and our listeners can find you on the interwebs and everywhere else.
You can find me at The Rogue Blades on Facebook. You can find me at Dave Kish Writers page on Facebook. You can find me in the Renaissance Guys.
That's right.
That's the podcast that we're going to be relaunching. Probably after the festival season is done, we'll be relaunching the podcast again. So
I loved your initial episodes, your shows. I mean, it was you and Jamie talking about great sword fighting movies, man, or great
Yeah,
movies.
we're,
that you love
we're going to
to
do
see.
that, and it's going to be a lot more stuff too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure Chris and I would be happy to guest on your show.
Without a question.
Absolutely.
Without question.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna about do it.
That should do it.
I've always wanted to watch you guys do this part.
All right. Well, I think on that note.
Until next time.
Sláinte.
Hey.
That was all right.
Good.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.